The 1982 P United States half dollar, part of the long-running Kennedy half-dollar series, represents an interesting period in modern American coinage, both for its economic context and its numismatic characteristics. The coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which placed a P mint mark on the obverse of the coin, located just above the date, a practice that began only a few years earlier, as Philadelphia coins traditionally bore no mint mark at all. Like all circulating half-dollars issued since 1971, the 1982 P piece is composed of copper-nickel-clad metal, an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving it the familiar silvery appearance while keeping production economical during a period when precious metal coins were no longer feasible for circulation. The obverse features the iconic portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, with the motto Liberty arched above and the phrase, "In God We Trust," divided on either side of the truncation of Kennedy's neck, along with the 1982 date beneath. This portrait was originally created rapidly in 1963 following Kennedy's assassination as a national tribute, and it has remained largely unchanged for decades. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, continues to display the heraldic eagle inspired by the presidential seal, holding an olive branch and arrows, surrounded by 50 stars and the inscriptions, United States of America and E Pluribus Unum, a motto meaning, out of many, one, symbolizing unity among the states and the nation as a whole. Although the coin carries all the traditional features, 1982 was a notable year because the United States Mint did not produce official mint sets or proof sets for the public, an uncommon omission, making high-grade examples from that year scarcer than for most modern issues and causing collectors to rely heavily on coins taken from Federal Reserve bags or bankrolls. Because these coins entered normal circulation, many 1982 P half-dollars show moderate wear, with fully sharp lettering in "In God We Trust," complete hair detail on Kennedy's portrait, and crisp feathers on the eagle often missing on circulated examples. As a result, uncirculated or mint-state pieces with clean surfaces, strong luster, and no major contact marks are far more desirable, and certified high-grade examples, especially MS-66 or MS-67, can command significantly elevated values due to the difficulty of finding flawless strikes from that year. The coin is also known for some minor varieties and die differences. Many specimens show weak strikes, particularly in Kennedy's hair above the ear and along the high points of the eagle's wings, a result of worn dies and pressure adjustments during the minting process. Collectors occasionally search for die cracks, die chips, or slight misalignments, though no major, widely recognized national varieties dominate the 1982 P issue. Nevertheless, error hunters sometimes find off-center strikes, clash dies, and unusual planchet imperfections that can make individual coins more valuable. In general, the typical circulated 1982 P half-dollar is worth face value, while an attractive uncirculated example may be worth a modest premium. High-grade certified pieces can be far more valuable due to the scarcity of pristine examples, especially because many of the coins of that year were heavily bag-marked and poorly handled. In the broader historical context, the 1982 P Kennedy half-dollar reflects American monetary trends of the early 1980s, when inflation, rising metal prices, and declining public use of half-dollar coins caused the denomination to see limited circulation, leaving banks and casinos as the primary institutions still requesting them. Despite relatively low public use, the Kennedy half-dollar remained popular among collectors and continues to symbolize America's reverence for President Kennedy. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum maintain the long-standing tradition of national mottos on U.S. coinage, expressing the country's values of freedom, faith, and unity. Overall, the 1982 P half-dollar stands as a piece of circulating commemorative history, combining mid-20th century symbolism with late-20th century minting practices, and its relative scarcity and high grades, due to the absence of government-issued mint sets that year, makes it a notable and often discussed issue within the broader Kennedy half-dollar series. Next top. The 1986 P United States half-dollar, part of the enduring Kennedy half-dollar series introduced in 1964, stands as a significant modern issue produced at the Philadelphia Mint and marked with a P mint mark located on the obverse above the date, continuing the Mint's relatively newly established practice of placing a mint mark on Philadelphia circulation coins. Designed in the aftermath of President John F. Kennedy's tragic assassination, the coin retains the familiar and solemn obverse portrait sculpted by Gilroy Roberts, showing Kennedy in left-facing profile, framed by the bold inscription Liberty circling across the top and the motto, "In God We Trust," placed beneath the profile with the date 1986 serving as the lower anchor. While this design had been used for over 2 decades, by 1986, the portrait remained a powerful national symbol of both the Kennedy presidency and the American collective memory of the early 1960s. The reverse, crafted by Frank Gasparo, displays the heraldic eagle modeled closely after the presidential seal, with the eagle clutching an olive branch representing peace and arrows representing military readiness. Above the eagle floats the motto, E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, signifying the unity of the United States, while the inscriptions United States of America and $50 circle the rim. As with all Kennedy half-dollars minted from 1971 onward, the 1986 P is composed of copper-nickel-clad metal, consisting of a copper core sandwiched between layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its bright, silver-like appearance without containing any actual silver. This composition was adopted in response to rising silver prices in the 1960s and 1970s, which made precious metal coinage impractical for mass circulation. In terms of minting context, the mid-1980s were a period during which half-dollar coins saw limited use in everyday commerce. Most Americans rarely encounter them in circulation, yet the U.S. Mint continued to produce large quantities primarily for Federal Reserve distribution, for casino use, and for collectors who maintained steady interest in the Kennedy series. The 1986 P is known for generally strong strikes compared to earlier 1980s issues, although some examples still show slight weakness in Kennedy's hair above the ear and on the eagle's feathers, which are sensitive high points on the design where detail can fade quickly if the dies are worn or striking pressure is inconsistent. Collectors examining 1986 P half-dollars often look for clean, unmarked fields and full luster, as the large size of the coin makes it particularly susceptible to bag marks from the minting and transport process. High-grade, uncirculated examples can be found but become significantly scarcer in MS-66 and higher, and certified MS-67 pieces are considered exceptional because the Philadelphia Mint typically produced coins in bulk that suffered from surface abrasions due to heavy handling. Though no major national varieties dominate the 1986 P issue, dedicated collectors search for interesting die cracks, die chips, clash dies, off-center strikes, and misaligned dies, which can command premiums depending on severity and visual appeal. However, most minor anomalies add only modest value and less dramatic. For typical collectors, the 1986 P in circulated condition carries face value, while lightly circulated or uncirculated raw examples may bring a small premium, especially those with strong eye appeal. Historically, the year 1986 sits in an era of renewed American pride and the continuation of Cold War tensions, and the Kennedy half-dollar, bearing both patriotic symbolism and a portrait of a president linked strongly to the nation's mid-century vision, remained a popular keepsake and gift piece even as it faded from regular commerce. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum connect the coin to long-standing American ideals, liberty as a foundational value, trust in a higher guiding principle, and unity among diverse states and citizens. The large, intricate reverse design symbolizes presidential authority, national strength, and the nation's aspiration toward balance between peace and defense. Overall, the 1986 P. Kennedy half-dollar serves as both a circulating coin and a symbolic artifact, reflecting the Mint's production practices of the 1980s, the gradual decline in practical use of the half-dollar denomination, the enduring popularity of the Kennedy design, and the timeless expressions of national identity embedded next top. The 1996 P. United States half-dollar belongs to the long-running Kennedy half-dollar series, first issued in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination in 1963. The 1996 issue continues the modern circulation strike copper-nickel-clad format introduced in 1971, and it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P. Mint mark placed just above the date on the obverse. Although half dollars were still official circulating coins in 1996, by the mid-1990s they were used far less frequently in general commerce. Most Americans rarely encountered them in daily transactions. Because of this reduced circulation demand, many of the half dollars produced in the 1990s, including the 1996 P, spent most of their lives stored in mint bags, sitting in Federal Reserve vaults, or being purchased by collectors rather than actually changing hands. The obverse of the coin bears the familiar portrait of President Kennedy created by chief engraver Gilroy Roberts, a sculptor whose striking profile design captures the president's youth, idealism, and strong leadership image. It displays the inscriptions Liberty around the upper rim and In God We Trust divided on either side of Kennedy's neck truncation, with the year 1996 tucked underneath. The obverse on modern issues tends to have a slightly different texture and sharpness depending on the die state, mint pressure, and the overall condition of the coin, which can matter greatly to collectors searching for fully struck examples with clear hair detailing and unbroken luster. The reverse of the 1996 P half dollar features the modified presidential seal designed by Frank Gasparo, who also served as the U.S. Mint's chief engraver after Roberts. Gasparo's iconic eagle design shows a heraldic eagle with a shield on its breast, clutching an olive branch symbolizing peace in one talon, and a bundle of arrows representing national strength and readiness in the other. Surrounding the eagle is a ring of 50 stars, representing the 50 states, and above the eagle's head flows the national motto E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. This design was chosen not only for its patriotic symbolism but also to emulate a presidential tone, reflecting the prestige of the office Kennedy held. The reverse also bears the words United States of America and half dollar. Although the basic design remained unchanged for decades, subtle refinements in the die hubs occurred periodically, which can result in slight variations in relief and detail between different years and even different mint facilities. In the case of 1996, no major reverse design varieties are recognized, though specialists sometimes look closely at minor die cracks, double die anomalies, and overpolished die areas that can create collectible varieties within the year. The composition of the 1996 P half dollar follows the standard modern clad formula, an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to an inner core of pure copper, giving the coin its silver-like appearance, without containing actual silver. The coin weighs 11.34 grams, measures 30.61 millimeters in diameter, and has a reading, grooved edge that historically helped prevent shaving or clipping. While earlier Kennedy half dollars from 1964 were made of 90% silver, and those from 1965 to 1970 used a 40% silver clad, the 1996 P contains no silver and was mass-produced primarily for circulation demand, even though few actually circulated. The mintage for the 1996 P was fairly large for the era, with tens of millions struck, but high-grade survivors in truly flawless condition can still be challenging because many were stored in bulk, resulting in bag marks and surface abrasions even before leaving the mint. Collectors therefore place high value on coins graded MS 66, MS 67, or better by third-party grading services. Regarding value, most 1996 P Kennedy half dollars are common in circulated or typical uncirculated condition and are worth face value, 50 cents, to a modest premium. However, superb uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS 67 or MS 68, can command significantly higher prices because they require nearly perfect surfaces, strong luster, and full detail in the hair and eagle feathers. Unlike the 1960s silver issues, the 1996 P is usually collected for condition and die characteristics rather than metal content. A small number of collectors also seek special varieties such as potential double die obverse or reverse errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and missing clad layer errors. all of which can increase value considerably depending on rarity and eye appeal. Even subtle, next top. The 1997 D United States half dollar is part of the enduring Kennedy half dollar series, first introduced in 1964 as a national tribute to President John F. Kennedy following his assassination, and by 1997 the coin had become firmly established as both a circulating denomination and a highly collected numismatic issue. The 1997 half dollar struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark placed just above the date, continues the clad composition adopted in 1971, consisting of copper-nickel layers surrounding a pure copper core, giving the coin a bright silvery appearance without containing any actual silver. Even though the U.S. Mint produced millions of these coins, the half dollar was seldom used in daily transactions during the 1990s, meaning that many 1997 D pieces remained in storage, sat in unopened mint bags, or were quietly released into circulation years later. The obverse still features Gilroy Roberts' dignified portrait of President Kennedy, a design admired for capturing the president's youthful strength and iconic profile. Encircling the portrait is the prominent inscription Liberty, with the national motto, "In God We Trust," positioned beneath Kennedy's chin, and to the left of the portrait, balanced against the date 1997. The style and sharpness of the strike vary from coin to coin because of die wear, pressure settings, and the immense quantities struck at the Denver facility. Thus, collectors especially value sharply struck examples with crisp details in Kennedy's hair, smooth fields, and strong luster. The reverse, designed by Frank Asparo, presents a masterful modification of the presidential seal, depicting a heraldic eagle facing left with a shield on its breast, clutching an olive branch, symbolizing peace, in its right talon, and a bundle of arrows, symbolizing military strength and readiness, in its left. A ring of 50 stars surrounds the eagle, representing all states in the Union, while above its head appears the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, a phrase that reflects the nation's identity as a union of states and peoples. The outer rim reads United States of America above and half dollar below, completing the design. Although the main design remained stable throughout the late 20th century, 1990s dies often exhibit small differences due to polishing, wear, or manufacturing variations. Specialists sometimes seek out minor double die types, over-polished regions, or die cracks that add numismatic interest. Because the Denver Mint frequently produced large quantities quickly, many 1997 D half dollars show bag marks or scuffing even if they were never circulated, making the highest grades such as MS 67 or MS 68 relatively scarce and desirable. The coin weighs 11.34 grams, measures 30.61 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge, a traditional anti-counterfeiting and anti-clipping feature dating back centuries. Although the 1997 D contains no silver and is considered common in circulated or average uncirculated form, pristine examples with intense cartwheel luster and virtually flawless surfaces attract collectors who specialize in modern mint state series. From a broader historical perspective, the 1997 D half dollar reflects a period when the half dollar denomination was fading from American commerce, yet the U.S. Mint continued to produce it for banking needs, numismatic demand, and tradition. Its inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E pluribus unum," connect it to long-standing American ideals, religious trust, national freedom, and unity among diverse states. Though the design had already been in use for more than 3 decades by 1997, it remained one of the most recognizable pieces of U.S. coinage, serving as both a memorial to Kennedy's legacy and a symbol of American identity. Collectors today often appreciate 1997 D halves for their place in the broader narrative of Kennedy half dollars, where shifting mintages, changes in public use, and differences in strike quality create a rich field for study. Some enthusiasts also pursue notable errors from this year, such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, planchet clips, or missing clad layer pieces, which can command significant premiums due to rarity. While the typical 1997 D half dollar carries only modest monetary value, its cultural, historical, and artistic importance remains substantial. It encapsulates late 20th century minting technology, presidential commemoration, and the evolving role of the half dollar in American life, making it a small but meaningful artifact of U.S. history.